Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, friends. Let's continue with the rectification of errors, and we are into chapter 6 of class 11, and which deals with trial balance and rectification of errors. So, I have discussed extensively about trial balance, basis the CA Foundation book, and also from the class 11 book. Now get into rectification. We gave a hint, discussed about a hint of it in the last class. Now let's see how we are going to do that. Rectification of errors. I'm in chapter 6, page number 192 of CBSE class 11, right? Rectification of errors. So, before rectifying error, we have to identify where the error is and how the error has happened. Then only we can go ahead and rectify it correctly. So, first we have to search for the error, right? How do we search for the error? When we finalize the books of accounts, how do we search for an error? Search for error can happen in multiple ways. Let's look into each one of them. First step is recheck or recast the totals in both sides. In both sides of the when I say both sides, it's debit and credit of the trial balance. This is the first step, right? Recheck the total. Then check whether the ledgers have been entered correctly in the trial balance. Third, check whether the totals in the ledgers have got entered correctly in the trial balance, short form TB. Right? The fourth step, like first, let's check the total of the trial balance. Let's check whether the heading of the ledger accounts have been entered correctly. Then let's check. The third point is to verify whether the amount has been entered correctly. Some cases, a debit side total ledger might show a debit balance, whereas it got entered as a credit balance and trial balance, right? When we copy paste it, when we move the data, right? Then also check the trial balance from previous year. Why we have to do this is there can be a new set of expenses or new set of assets or liabilities that could have come in the current year because of the increase in business, etc. Right? So we have to see whether a new account has got added to trial balance and whether we have missed it. Or it can also help in verify whether any abnormal amount is there in trial balance. When we say abnormal, so for example, last year the total salaries paid was 1 lakh. Suppose in the current trial balance, the total salary amount is showing 2,50,000, etc. It means that there is an 1,50,000 increase in salary, which is a very high number. So we have to check whether there is any abnormality coming in the trial balance. Then check the ledger accounts. Go to the ledger account and check whether the totals in the ledger account have been done correctly, right? And also then go to the check the books of original entries, that is journal entries, to see whether all journals have been posted with correct amount. Check whether any transpose error is there. What is a transpose error? It is quite normal when we enter the amount in the books, in the journal entries or in the ledger. It is quite common, like 459 can be entered as 549. Like it can be like this, 459. When we enter, it can be entered as 549, right? 943 can be entered, 943 can be entered as 934. When we enter the amount, when we type the amount or when we write the ledgers or journal entries, these are all the type of errors that is quite possible. So this can be identified when we go through the books of original entry, that is journals. Or it can also be checked like when we check the abnormality in the amount. When we check the abnormality, this also can be seen like whether there is anything that's coming in. It can also be like it can also be like debit side. Check for any errors of commission. Errors of commission, like when errors of commission is like when a debit entry is posted as credit. So what it will show is like if you have to enter on the debit side, enter the debit side with 750. So actual entry is enter credit side with 750. So this will have an errors of commission where the trial balance will be off by 1500 rupees, right? Because we have to rectify the original entry and also pass the revised entry. So this 1500 means there are two possibilities, like that there's an entry of 750 which has to be debited has got entered incorrectly as credit, or vice versa. So these are all various ways where we can search an error, right? And by doing this, all these steps, we can easily identify the errors. Then, how will we rectify the errors? Rectify the errors. Rectification of errors. There are two types of errors. What we saw, right? Errors affecting the trial balance and errors that does not affect the trial balance. What is an error that affects a trial balance and what is an error that does not affect a trial balance? When so when a journal entry is entered correctly but to the wrong account, right? Journal processed with correct amount, but instead of debiting cash account, debit is given to bank account, right? So in this way, ledger will see the trial balance will match. In this case, the trial balance will match. So this is all the type of errors which does not affect the trial balance in total, but at an individual level, this will have an individual account level. This will have an impact. Similarly, when there is an instead of debiting an account, if it is credited, that will have an impact on the trial balance as such. But there are two set of entries. One, there is a debit available, there is a credit available. So in the double entry system, the trial balance will match. What are all the errors like which will not have an impact on the trial balance? This are all type of which will not have an impact on the trial balance. Let's take an example, right? Let's take an example. Here, credit sales to Mohan rupees 10,000 were not recorded in the sales book. So this is an error of commission. No journal entry processed. Credit sales to Mohan for rupees 10,000. No journal entry processed. So will it have an impact on the trial balance? No, because there is no sales credit and there is no debtors entry. So this will not have an impact on the trial balance. Whereas this will have an impact on the profit. This will have an impact on the outstanding that should come from the customer. Whereas the trial balance will still match. This is called an error of commission. We saw that earlier. So entry should be Mohan account debit because Mohan is a debtor, and sales account credit. Sales account credit, this should be the entry that should get processed for 10,000 rupees and for 10,000 rupees. Right? This is the entry that should get processed. So because we have not processed this entry, there will not be any impact onto the to the trial balance, right? Hmm. So the other set of entry, what we are saying here, Here, example that has been given is credit sales to Mohan for 10,000 entered as 1,000. Here also, trial balance will not have an impact because there is a journal entry. Mohan account debit 1,000 and sales account credit for 1,000. This will also not have an impact because both the credit side sales account and the debit side Mohan account is having some balance 1,000 rupees. Whereas it will have an impact on the outstanding where 9,000 rupees will not get collected from Mohan, and then sales will show lesser number, so profitability will be showing lesser number, right? But this is a type of errors where errors without impact on the trial balance. So we will also look into errors which affects the trial balance. What are all the type of errors that affects the trial balance and how a suspense account should be come into place, etc. We'll discuss about it in the next class. So if you are having any doubts on this basic type searching for errors and then rectification of errors without affecting trial balance, please send an email to me at babupriya@redifmail.com. You can also post your comments onto this video and I'll come back to you. The next class, we will discuss about errors affecting trial balance and how suspense accounts has to be dealt with. Thank you, friends, and have a great day.